So I want to quickly let everybody introduce themselves. My name is Matt Soldowski. I'm with Verisk. I think 80% of you I've known for a long time. The other 20% I'm getting to know. So over to Nick.
Test. All right, there we go. Nick Sykes. I am the Vice President of Product at Verisk. I oversee the products that Dave just mentioned, the PPW, Proven, and PRM products, as well as other restoration and remodeling tools in our tool house. So.
Yeah, thanks for working out the bugs in the microphone, Nick. I'm Ken LaFond. I am the co-founder and CTO of Advantage Technology. A lot of people know us by our product name of Inspector Ed.
Good morning. I'm Justin Askew, COO of Aremco, National Asset Management Company. I'm glad to be here and be a part of this panel.
Rob Martin, I'm the product manager over Exact PRM at Verisk.
All right, we'll start out with the first slide, which is a group quote. All right, be honest. What does AI feel like for you today? It's a game changer. David just brought that up. Buzzword bingo. Please scan this and answer it as well. The results will be available afterwards. Buzzword bingo. Expensive experiment. I just nod in meetings. I mean, I haven't been to a conference where this isn't the number one discussion of every group I've been to. AI, it's going to replace everything. What do you guys truly feel about it? I'll give you a second to answer that. And while you're doing that, I'm going to ask the panel each. I'll ask them each a question. The first one, I'll ask Justin. Where have you seen AI produce measurable ROI, not just pilots, but real impact?
Well, for us, I think, on the field services side, the impact really is on the QC models that have been developed. The efficiency and the speed and the cost difference has been pretty impactful for us. Now there is controls that need to be there on the manual side, so it's not just plug it in and let it go. So I would caution on that, but the ROI is certainly there, first and foremost, on the field services side. And then obviously on the estimating side for the vendors in the field to use those data sets and those estimating tools that are AI generated, some of them help a lot.
Thank you. Nick, I'll ask you the same question.
ROI for AI tools?
Yeah, where have you seen it actually make an impact versus, we've tried it, we've tested it, we've piloted it, but where is it actually making an impact in your world on the supply side?
Yeah, Dave mentioned this a little bit, but Verisk has been in this world for quite a few years, actually. We've been in big data, working with machine learning. It's something we've really invested in, and the thing that I'm seeing right now that's different is the pace and the speed at which we're able to bring tools to the industry and to our customers. A couple specific ones that I'd mention is we have what our rules engine. We have a product called Exact Expert. It really helps our customers in finding errors quickly, resolving those rapidly, and we've seen incredible ROI in them being able to address issues before they get out to the customer. That really helps in customer satisfaction as well. And then we have new tools that we're launching here at this event, actually, that really speed up the time for training. A lot of, bringing on a new employee, bringing them up to speed, having them train can take weeks, if not months, to really become effective. And with some of these tools, we've been able to shrink that time down to not just days, but even hours in really getting onboarding and using the product rapidly. And that impacts ROI significantly.
Excellent, thank you. So Ken, from your world, so we've talked about from a national standpoint, we've talked about from a Verisk product standpoint. For Inspector Aid, how does AI help you with your vendors and your customers with vendor assignment, finding the right people in the right places?
Yeah, I think it's important, first off, to look at AI as a way of augmenting the people and human relationships that exist in the industry today. It's not a way of replacement, it's not a way of doing better than, it's a way of making us collectively smarter and faster and more accurate. In Inspectorate, we have a couple of different ways that we've done that. One is with we have automated QC, so that the quality control process has AI backing to it. You can get more accurate analysis of the photos and of the data that's in the form to make sure that they align better. We have another product that we're talking about in testing in the field where the photo labels that the inspector takes can be automatically labeled by the AI as well to increase the data quality of the photo labels directly from the field. I think it's, some other ways that AI can assist as well, gap analysis, as you mentioned in your question, and doing things like heat maps of where inspections or orders may be late or may be becoming late before they actually become a problem to the servicer, so that the vendor or the administrators of the system can reallocate resources or find new coverage in certain areas before they actually become a service problem.
Excellent, thank you. And Rob, from a bid standpoint, Justin mentioned using AI in bids. Can AI realistically help solve pricing issues and inconsistencies within a tool?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different aspects of cost estimation and pricing that AI can assist with, whether it's finding those inconsistencies or identifying like a best fit line item, even identifying line items that may be missing and items that have a greater likelihood of being approved. Those are all things that AI can help with. It's just a matter of what does the data look like that's powering those insights, right? So garbage in, garbage out is a phrase we're all familiar with. I work at Verisk. Anybody who's vaguely familiar with Verisk might think of us as a software company. I'd argue at our heart, we're actually a data company, where we've been researching the cost of material, labor, and equipment for 30 years across the United States. We've got weather data, we've got a lot of other data, and that's what we'll make use of in order to deliver some of those solutions.
Excellent, thank you. Go to the next slide, please. So a general panel question, I'm going to ask each of you if you can give us kind of a quick answer. Where do you see the biggest opportunity for improvement from implementing AI in the mortgage default industry? And I'll just go down the road, starting with Nick.
Okay. So as a product person, one of the things that I like to do is look at problems that need to be solved. And it's something that I often ask my team and people to look at as well. What are the problems that need to be solved? And in this industry, I think that there's opportunity when it comes to the field workflow, when you're on site, collecting information about a property, being able to improve that in time, efficiency, speed, but also the fidelity of the type of documentation that you're collecting. And then also, I think there's problems or improvements to be had when you're back in the office. You have executives or managers that are looking at the data and want to make sense of it. It's instrumentation they're trying to make decisions on. I think that there are opportunities there. And on both those points, we're releasing tools and products that help in those areas. I think it's a big opportunity.
Thank you. Ken?
Yeah, I think AI is a huge opportunity for everyone, as you said, both in the field and in the back office. I think that data quality is a huge area where AI can assist and improve what's happening in the industry. I think, as you mentioned, the back office decision making, but really it comes from AI is a tool, and identifying what problems can be solved with it is something that you can apply this tool to solving those problems. I don't think it's in and of itself a means to an end. So I think what we need to do is when we are looking to solve problems that we identify in the industry, that we can use AI as another way to handle those. So we'll be definitely interfacing with our customers and with clients and just trying to figure out what are some other opportunities besides those which we've thought of internally to apply AI to those solutions.
Justin?
Well, I think, for the mortgage default industry, it's really all across the board. I think being proactive, this technology gives the ability in this particular landscape to be proactive. Everything from default trends to how people are, making their payments or not making their payments. The models out there are just all over the place. They're very extensive. So, every servicer, all the way down line to you guys as field service reps, I would say utilize those models to the best of your ability. Lean in with consultation, but proactiveness, again, I believe is where the game changer is for the mortgage default industry.
Thanks. Rob?
Yeah, it's a little difficult to answer because everybody in this room kind of does a different job, right? We have different roles to fill. I think it's a matter of kind of identifying what is your biggest time suck. Where are you spending all your efforts? And there's an opportunity for AI to help there, I'd be willing to bet. And so that may be in taking photos, labeling photos, identifying what's in photos. It may be reviewing estimates that you've created or that you're reviewing that have been submitted to you. Those are all opportunities where AI can assist.
Thank you. So in this panel, we've designed it as the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? So far, that's been the good. The things you've heard time and time again. You keep hearing from every conference we go to how AI is going to change things, and it's fantastic. As Ken pointed out, it's a tool, though. It's not a replacement. It's not, we're just going to turn to AI and no longer have to think, hopefully. If you want to go to the next panel question or audience question, why is your company not implementing AI? You're afraid of your data quality. You're afraid of lack of standardization, operational complexity, don't know where to begin. I mean, we can help, all of the people on this panel can help with those things, helping you implement it, at least, well, Justin may not help your competitor, but if you're one of his vendors, he'll absolutely help you. Just kidding. Anyway, so, think about that. Why are you not implementing it if you aren't yet? Even in the basic forms of helping write better emails and things like that, it can do that. That's the very basic. We're going to get back into panel questions. I'm going to ask another general panel question, if you can go to the next one. Yeah, this is it. No, I'm not, that last slide, there we go, the bad. So, panel, there's significant fear of displacement. How can companies reskill their workforce to become AI augmented rather than replacing people? So from Nick's standpoint, what are you seeing from that, from a preservation, I'm sorry, not in a developer standpoint, how are you guys implementing AI on the back end, not to replace people, but to enhance their job? Well,
There's this notion that AI is going to make everyone a little bit more superhuman, and I think that's true. For the work that I do, I've seen tasks that would have historically taken months and months to do. I've been able to do them in a week's time. I think what that means is you're going to have people that are able to do more and more and more. There's a downside to that, the bad. There's a mentality of, you're go, 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 and there's no time to really step back and consider what is needed for the homeowner and others. So I think that there's a lot of work to be done in, working with individuals, understanding needs, and then also for this group, the collective wisdom that you have, bringing that to other solutions.
Ken, what are your thoughts?
So when it comes to using AI tools and being AI augmented, I think it's really a little bit of a shift in mindset from looking at it as a task execution mode to more of an exception management mode. You're looking at what the AI is kicking back as anomalies and using human judgment to handle those components and letting the other 80% of the boring work be handled by the AI. Really, as far as the reskill goes, I think things like prompt, not everybody has to become a coder and, to become useful in AI. I think really prompt engineering and audit logic is more important. So learning how to ask the AI the right questions in the right way to get the responses that you're looking for, and then being able to have an eye for when the AI is hallucinating or is going off the rails and becoming too overconfident.
And Justin?
So, at Aremco, this is a challenge for everyone sitting in here is how do you reskill and rework your ops with this new technology? So it can touch everything from your accounting department to your QC side to your follow-up team. So there are the tools there, but there is some pain to restructure and reformulate your operations with this technology because everything really changes. It's pivotal. Now, there's positives to it, but there's also cost associated. So with good policies, good training, and I think everyone in this room, if you're implementing any of these technologies or these models, you're probably feeling some of the pain points too. And, here at Aremco, we're not product developers on AI, right? So we lean on other product developers, consultation, advisory, to help formulate everything downline to operations. So the ultimate goal is to have the client experience, the vendor experience all better, and to ultimately get a good ROI on it. But there is cost associated and there is a revamp. So it's not just plug and play.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No. So I think one of the best things a company can do to reskill their workforce is to give them excuses and license to experiment with AI. We all need to move up the AI proficiency ladder. So spend time every day playing around with it, seeing what it can do, giving it your big problems, and seeing how it can augment your workflow. I've got a team of developers that develop Exact PRM. They all have license every week to spend time just getting more familiar with AI and using it and getting better at what they do. One of my developers is probably a year away from retirement. He's doing the same thing. This industry is adapt or die, and we all need to adapt in order to stay relevant.
Excellent. Thank you. Based on that, though, Justin, based on what Rob was just saying, he's giving people time every day to play with AI. What do companies need to do to get ready?
Well, we tried that.
Go ahead.
So no offense. You just have to be careful with what your team is allowed to do. So, new clients that we're blessed to start working with, we've seen a trend where during the vendor vetting process where your AI policies are now key, right? So if you don't have one, and you can have AI build your policy, but no, it has to be tried and true and tested. So it's called an attestation. So, it's okay to have your team work and learn, and I get where you guys are going with this, right? Knowledge is power. But there is a cautionary tale there. You need to make sure your team has controls around what they're allowed to do while they sit in those seats or they're on your time. They can get in trouble, let me just say that, right? So don't let them just use AI to send out emails with no governance to it. Fine example.
Absolutely. Well, and Nick, we have a data policy within Verisk where we can't just upload people's data
That's
into
right.
public AI engines.
And we've seen that.
Yeah, because I was talking to somebody about the AI's picking things in photos that we didn't even realize were in those photos. You have somebody's tax return in there and you go and upload it to the public chat GPT. Now all that detail is out in the world, and that puts that liability back on your company.
100%.
Yeah. So responsible implementation. So Nick, what do they need? What do people need to do to prevent those issues?
Well, they're real, to your point. In fact, just last week there was a story, I don't know, people in the audience may have heard of it, where an AI agent went out and was trying to just resolve a normal issue for a company. It was a rental car company, and within 9 seconds, it deleted their entire production database. It deleted all their backups. And when they asked the AI, what happened here, it basically responded and said, a human should have been involved with this destructive action and wasn't.
Right?
So yeah, I think if you look at the spectrum of where AI can go bad, that is absolutely on the far end. It can be very destructive to an organization. At the other end, it can be as simple as you roll something out and it's not adopted, it's not used in the way that you would hope. And maybe your employees or users start to just go back to the old manual process. So it's something to keep in mind. To your question, I think, for us, every time we are absolutely moving fast, and we're trying to provide solutions to our customers as soon as possible. But at the same time, we're also slowing down at certain points. We have, to your point, an AI governance process where we're looking at the legal ramifications, the technical ramifications, the security potential risk, and making sure to address all of that before deploying this type of solution. And I think for anyone who's looking at software and looking at AI solutions, you really want to partner with someone that has that type of mindset. If you don't, you're open to those types of risks that I explained.
Excellent. And AI is only as good as what you give it. So Ken, how do people avoid bad data giving bad responses?
Yeah, I think it was already touched on with the garbage in, garbage out, right? So AI is an algorithm, a predictive algorithm, but an algorithm. And so whatever you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. AI, I guess the key thing for it is to make sure that you're putting in good data right from the source. If you can make sure that the data that you're providing it is good to begin with, then you can be more confident in the responses that you're getting out. AI will take bad data and scale it. And so if you were to train an AI with, say, 10% bad data, that 10% bad data and the resulting model that you get from that is going to be applied to 100% of what you use the AI on. So it's very important to get clean data as you put it into the system. Part of another way to make sure that you're getting good data is to use AI or AI-like tools to take a look at the data as it comes through and look for anomalies, look for outliers, look for things that don't quite look right, and use that as a way to apply your human power and identify why those anomalies exist. And that way you can make sure, again, that the data that you're feeding your AI is clean.
Thank you. So Rob, with cost estimating, what concerns you about that data coming into cost estimating, making sure that you're getting, giving the results that the end user is wanting?
Yeah, just as far as implementing AI into cost estimation, my biggest concern is cost. And I mean that a couple of different ways. One, I can build out all sorts of nifty tools that help my users, but are they going to pay for them? We work in kind of a price-conscious industry, so that there's this sweet spot that we need to find where you're willing to pay for the AI tools that we offer. The other aspect of cost is we're kind of still early days in this AI revolution, and these companies that have invested hundreds of billions of dollars in the latest chips and data centers to power all of this, they need to make their money back. And I expect costs will actually go up rather than go down. A couple of maybe signs that this is the case. OpenAI, they recently missed their revenue targets. 2 months ago, they shuttered their AI model for video generative AI called Sora. You might have played around with that. It was a fantastic tool, probably a leader in that space. They just abruptly shut it down. Offering AI tools, generative AI around video and even photos, those are some of the most expensive things you can offer. So it makes sense that if they're going to make a cut, that's where they'd start. Anthropic, 2 months ago, or last month, they changed their Claude Code offering. So they have a $20 a month offering that used to include Claude Code. They ripped that out, and now it's only available if you pay for their $100 a month model. Because again, they're trying to make up their revenue. They're trying to pay for all of these huge costs. I read an article last week that said the $20 AI subscription era has become untenable. And an email I read just this morning spoke of a catch-22 that these AI firms are facing, where there's too much adoption for the current level of compute supply and not enough adoption to fund more compute supply. Getting back to the hundreds of billions of dollars that these companies are spending, we all have experience buying cell phones and buying computers and then replacing them 3 or 4 years later because they're out of date, they're obsolete. The same is going to be true of these chips. So these $100 billion investments, guess what? They're going to be repeated 3 years from now, 5 years from now, as they're just adopting the latest generation. If they don't find a way to be profitable, they're not going to be in business. So you can bet that we're going to be paying more for those offerings.
Thank you. So everything's not free. Next. All right. From the audience, what's your biggest concern about AI? Bad decisions by bad data? I think we all are aware that not every time the data comes in from the field is it accurate. It's interpretive as well. Vendor client impact, compliance risk, and to Rob's point, who's paying for it? What's that? All right. So again, a general panel question, which is the next slide, please. Whoop, one too many. Thank you. Many companies are doing AI experiments. What's the single biggest barrier to moving from a successful pilot to a full-scale production environment? I'll start down there with Rob. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it probably is the security side in considering those questions, right? So Nick spoke of our AI governance board. I'm developing AI tools. I'm not allowed to even give them to customers to play around with until I get the checkoff from that AI governance board. So it's making sure you're asking those questions and you are considering security.
Justin?
I'm going to second the motion, Your Honor. Security.
Security?
100%. Even in a SOC 2 attestation, AI is coming to the forefront, right? What you're doing, what you're not doing. Obviously, I talked about the policy and procedures. But, you can think of these AI agents, whatever you use within your business as FTE, right? So your FTE within your organization, you have controls on them, what they can and can't do. And the same needs to apply to your mindset with your AI agents and these models that you're using. So again, enterprise-wide, whatever you're doing or not doing, you need to be in the forefront of security and looking at it 100%. Lawyers and tort is lined up for this evolution. I'm just letting you know. So,
Ken?
Yeah, and obviously security, I can echo the same thing. Going beyond that, I think in pilot programs, usually you have a curated data set, pretty clean data that you're working with. When you go to a production environment, that data gets noisy, gets messy. There are things that are unexpected. There are blurry photos. There are strange responses on forms that get filled out. And you need to be able to, you need to make sure that the pilot program that you're doing in AI gets exposed to some of that messiness before you launch it. Yeah, I think I'd stop there.
Thanks. Nick?
Yeah, I think it was mentioned earlier that there's this notion that you can just take some AI capability and plug it into your production operations and you're ready to roll. And I think there's something to be said about, first of all, if you're seeing a demonstration of some capability, really getting your hands on it and trying to understand it. I mentioned we have some tools here at this event. The AI estimator is one in PRM that we can demo, and we can give it a happy path demo. It looks amazing, but what we're really hoping is that you're able to come in and try it and use it and give it some real life examples and see how it responds. That's first of all what I would recommend, is making sure that you're really gut checking the technology that you're looking at. And then I think there's also a process to deploying and implementing that can be a barrier if you don't do it right, which is the age-old plan, do, study, act. Implement in small phases, monitor, analyze what's happening in the field, and then iterate on that and expand as needed or contract as needed. There's a science to rolling out and doing it successfully, and I think that age-old process works with AI as well.
Yeah. So when AI, and I'll put this to Ken and Justin, when AI makes a bad decision, who owns it?
So I think it's important to create AI systems with a human in the loop so that your ownership and is built into the AI process that you've developed, and you're not arguing about who's in charge after something's gone wrong. The reputational ownership for what happens with your AI is with you and, say, from an inspector aid point of view, the data is coming from an inspector out in the field, but the vendor who's turning that data into their clients has that reputational ownership for what that data looks like. The clients, as they're presenting it to their clients, has reputational ownership for what that data looks like. And I think it's important to own that and make sure that you have those human-in-the-loop systems. To that end, I'm a real big advocate for explainable AI. I think if you have an AI system and you can't identify why the AI made the decision that it made, that you're going to end up having problems. You need to be able to identify that so that if something goes wrong, or even if something doesn't go wrong, you can at least articulate how you can improve upon that process as it goes forward.
Justin, what are your thoughts?
Well, I just think we are going to move more into exception. I mean, with AI, teams will be revamped into exception teams, really. One of our concerns is really this technology is moving so fast, and I know there's no bad actors in this room, but there are bad actors. So data integrity is key, right, for what we do. It moves upline compliance-wise, as everyone in this room knows. So, for us, we're looking at, hey, how can we be proactive on keeping in the forefront of the data integrity, right? The pictures, the data that's coming in. What manipulation can the bad actors and the tools that are out there to manipulate? And I think we've talked about this before, is the cost just for that reassurance, right, is outside of anyone in this room to plug and play, because the cost has not come down on that. So, just in general, I would say, it's all hands on deck looking at this, and that's really it. So,
Thank you. So, to the panel, what is one thing that people are doing with AI today that they should just stop? Ken, I'll start with you.
Okay. So can I come up with two?
Whatever makes you happy.
Okay. So I think the first thing that I would say is that to stop doing with AI is stop thinking that AI is going to solve 100% of the problems. Stop thinking that AI is going to be in 100% of everything you do. AI is good at some things, it's not good at some other things. And so if we can focus AI on, say, the 80% of the tasks that AI is good at and apply human judgment to that other 20% of the messy, the unusual, the things that it doesn't do well, then you'll get a much better experience out of using the AI. Apply your human capital to where human judgment is needed. The second thing I would say is to stop AI washing things. So just because somebody says, this is built on AI, we don't want to get caught up in the buzzword bingo. If it's an if this, then that type process, that's not AI. I think we really need to use that AI label and preserve that AI label for things that are really using genuine AI.
Thanks. Rob?
Yeah, just, I guess real briefly, just going back to some of the things we've already talked about, is just be careful what you share with AI. Let's leave it at that.
Perfect. Nick?
I'll get on a soapbox and say the thing I hate the most about AI is AI slop, as it's known. There are times where you'll just get so much content, and it's incredibly verbose, and it's all AI generated.
Right.
And you have to then sift through it and try and summarize and understand it. I think there are limits to where AI can generate something really incredibly fast and meaningful, but then there's also, to the point that was made before, a need to bring a human into the loop to really refine that and make it meaningful.
Justin, I'll end it with you.
I really, to be honest with you, I don't have a lot to add to that. I mean, we've talked really about the messy side of it, the controls that need to be there. So really, I don't have a lot to add to it. You guys were very good.
Thank you. So with that, we have about 5 more minutes left. We'll open it up. Are there any audience questions for the panel? All of you speak at once.
No one's using AI?
Oh, Abby.
The industry is starting to look at AI tools to clean up photos, maybe remove redundant photos, or even we're seeing with Google Photos where it tries to enhance the photos so that we can see more clearly. Do you feel like that'll be accepted in the industry or like altered? Thanks.
I personally think that we're going to see governance coming from GSEs and HUD and so on and so forth in this industry on AI. Where that lands on who, and how that rolls out, but there are rumors, and I know it's being worked on. So, directly to your question, TBD on that. I don't know. I'm more on the cautious side up here on some of those things. I do believe that they're gonna, pull a little bit back, like you're seeing in a lot of industries. So.
Sort of had a follow-up question on that one because the other side of the photo equation is using AI to doctor photos. And so I'm curious sort of how you're thinking about security and the importance of, the sort of verification of photos to make sure we're actually looking at what we're looking at.
Yep, to that point we talked about, a little earlier I mentioned the costs on that side is pretty high right now, comparative. So, that cost needs to come down for all of us to really implement that. It's moving so fast, I think we're gonna have to implement it anyway, regardless of the cost. So the margins are gonna get squeezed. But yes, to your point, yes, manipulation, it's getting better and better. It's better than the old Photoshop, guys. So.
Yeah, I will say at Veris, this is something we've been doing for quite a while because there's insurance fraud, there's similar type scenarios where you're using the same type of photo over and over and over, or you're pulling it from the web, or you're modifying it. So we have a lot of models to try and detect that type of thing. But there's no doubt this is next level manipulation, right? When you can, I think I was looking at the image for the event, and I'm pretty sure that was probably AI generated, right? You can pretty quickly generate an image that looks looks legit. So it's something that we need to continue to pursue, I think.
I'd add too that as far as AI manipulation of images, even if it's for something innocuous like cleaning them up, I'm not a fan when it comes to this industry in general. I think it's important that we get the truth of what the inspector actually saw out there as they saw it. And at least in Inspectorate, we have processes in place to make sure that that happens and that those photos are not manipulated by AI or anything else. And so I think that's critical to the data quality that we're passing upstream.
Where do you see AI and technology taking this industry with the use of video rather than photos? Do you see that in the future at all, or how much?
I'll weigh in on that. Just, again, anything you do with AI related to photos, that is the most expensive thing you can do. So I question whether the industry will stomach those costs. So I'm a little skeptical we're going to move in that direction, but I'm sure there are some other opinions.
I will say that we have some really groundbreaking technology that we're working on around video, and the ability to take that and generate more detailed scans and that sort of work. So it's certainly on our radar and something we're looking at. I think there's a big opportunity there for sure.
I think it really matters how it's used. I think I understand what you're alluding to, even though I don't know what Verisk is working on, but as far as how you would use video to generate more detailed data. But, from, say, an inspection point of view, I think it's easier to look at a bunch of photos to see what's going on than it is to have somebody watch a 3-minute video. And, at some point, somebody's going to have to go through that 3-minute video and pick out the relevant pieces that where it's not pointing at the ground and it's not pointing at the sky as you're trying to get into the house. As far as like the storage costs and the review costs, at least on the inspection side, I don't see the value proposition yet.
All right, we can go through our quick responses. So from an audience standpoint, be honest, what does AI feel like? 70% of you said game changer. I can't do the math and figure out the green, but that's okay. But we see where people are mixed on it, but pretty overwhelming game changer. Why is your company not implementing AI? Pretty even across the board. The leader is don't know where to begin. I will tell you, all of you have technology companies you work with, or if you're larger, you have your CIOs, CTOs. Start the conversations and pick something to focus on. I think if you try to eat the elephant all at once, you're never going to get there, but pick what you can do first and try to get there. Your biggest concern with AI, biggest concern, bad decisions, bad data. We are all well aware of the data in our industry, the inconsistencies from company to company and servicer to servicer on questions, same question asked different ways, so that makes sense.